give it a test.
Testing, testing.
Whenever you're ready, take it away.
Hi, my name is Lucas Bushy, and I did my statistical project all about reading. Who here likes reading? Oh, okay, great. So first, I started by asking some statistical questions. These are questions that you can get data out of. My first question was, how many minutes do you read in a day, without counting the number of minutes they already read in school? My second question was, what's your favorite genre of book to read? Using the data from my first question, I found my measures of center, my mean, my median, and my mode. My mean, which is the average, is around 33 1/4 minutes of reading per day. My median, which is the middle number, is around 20 minutes of reading per day. My mode, which is the most common number, was also 20 minutes of reading per day. The outliers, which are basically numbers that are way higher or way lower than all the other numbers in your data set, were 85, 120, and 180 minutes of reading, because they're so much higher than all the other values. So using the data from my first question, I made some numerical data graphs. My first one was a histogram. I made here a frequency table, which shows how many students relate to a certain category of reading. For example, 4 students read around 21 to 41 minutes of reading. So I made a histogram, and as you can see, it's skewed right because there's less data on the right of my graph. Also, most people read around 0 to 20 minutes a day. My second numerical data graph was a box and whisker plot. As you can see, I made a 5-number summary showing all the values of my minimum, my first quartile, which is the bottom 25% of my data, my median, which is right in the middle, my third quartile, which is the top 25% of my data, and my maximum. My categorical data. So using the data from my second question, I made some categories, so students could relate to a certain category. As you can see, 3 students out of 24 in my class read fantasy. So I took all my fractions and converted them into decimals, percents, and then degrees. Then I turned my degrees into a circle graph. As you can see, most people read comics or graphic novels in my class. Some other people didn't relate to any of the categories I gave them. Some people read nonfiction, some people read historical fiction, and some people read fantasy. Then, I did some research on my topic. I learned some things from my reading. First, I learned that reading can help you perform better academically, which means in school. Next, I learned that reading can make you a better writer. Finally, I learned that reading can be really hard, especially when many other things take up most of your time. Using all of my research, I made a recommendation. I recommend that students in my class read more. One piece of evidence I have from my calculations is that our class average is around 4 hours of reading per week. One piece of evidence I have from my reading is that experts say that middle schoolers should aim for around 7 to 10 hours of reading per week. This evidence is important because we should be able to communicate clearly and effectively. Thank you for sitting through my presentation. Anybody have any questions? Sorry?
What is your favorite book?
I read the Percy Jackson series. I think that series is really well written. Layton? The genre, I personally like either historical fiction or fantasy. That's what I personally do the most. Ben?
How many times do you practically read a day?
Like 5, I think. Right?
How many minutes do you read a day?
I'd say maybe around like 40-ish. Jake?
How much time do you spend reading per week?
Per week? 280. Cam?
I just want to say you have very good volume and you are very enthusiastic about your project.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Christina?
I like how you interacted with the audience.
Jasmine?
I like
Topic, I thought it was very easy to find benefits from it. I think that many people can gain a lot of things from reading more. I think it's a really cool topic. Ella?
Why did you at the beginning of your slideshow, it was minutes, and then at the end you started sharing your data, it was hours, which made me a little confused.
So I personally made my questions surrounding minutes of reading per day. But when I got to the research part, which I hadn't done before, it asked how many minutes of reading per week. So then I had to change my data in order to fit that research. Zayden?
I like that you asked like a question at the beginning. I think a question I have is like, how did you like think of like, oh, I want to do the topic reading instead of like sports or something?
Yeah. So I think that reading is really fun, personally for me. I think that reading can affect our lives. It can either be for better or for worse. If you don't read a lot, then you may not, like, for example, you may not perform better academically. You may not become a better writer. So I think it's really important for people to learn what reading can benefit. That's Murphy.
Okay, I have a lot of bright spots. I'll start with some compliments and I've got a few questions. Like I think a few of your classmates said, I loved how you started by engaging the audience. I think it was like a fun way to insert your personality into your presentation and like add a little pizzazz. Just like, who likes reading? And then you didn't get that many hands and you just kind of like smiled, giggled to yourself and moved on. It was just like, it was enjoyable to watch from the audience that moment. I appreciated how you chose to not round when you had a remainder, I think it was like 33 and a fourth or something, because you can read for part of a minute. And I know some of your classmates like hopefully like are doing pets or something like that. They're gonna round. You can't have half of a pet, and it just shows how I think thoughtful you are about representing what your numbers mean. It was really clear to me in a lot of ways that this was like very well practiced and you felt confident. I think one of the ways that manifested was your smooth transitions from slide to slide. Like it didn't feel like abrupt, like here's a circle graph. You were like, and then I took those degrees and I used that to help me make my circle graph. And so it felt like we kind of like held our hand and walked us through the process. And it like flowed really nicely as a result. And then Ella kind of hit on it, but I appreciate how you like converted between days and weeks from your question to the research really seamlessly and helped me understand the connection. Okay, my first question is, what do you think Ms. Poland would say about our class's reading data?
I think she'd be decently surprised. I'm not sure for better or for worse, but I think that she'd definitely be very optimistic.
Do you think when people answered the question, they're including like minutes you would read in school, or is it just minutes at home?
I think it's pretty easy to misinterpret the question, so I think there had to be somebody who misinterpreted it and added maybe an extra like half an hour, but generally I think people in my class subtracted the minutes from school.
Because do you read it every day in ELA?
Yeah, like 10 minutes.
So that would be like 60, 50 minutes a week. You do it every day?
Yeah, usually, except for on Fridays.
My last question is, what do you think? I do a lot of, I listen to a lot of audiobooks while I'm driving. Do you think that counts or doesn't count?
I think it counts for something, except I don't think it shows all the benefits that my research showed, personally, because you're not actually reading it and you're not seeing how it's spelled. It doesn't have all the benefits, but it's still reading. It can still help you in some sort of way.
I agree. Hello, last
So like
comment?
connecting to like your like thing that you just like question. Like I also think that like visual reading like is better because like you're reading like the words so you can understand.
Let's give Lucas a